Yeah, in Africa, the relationship between man and woman powers further the African immense in efforts to get emancipated from the West. Men and women relation, the generation gap. All of those things are things you can deal with and you can discuss, and they are quite appropriate in the African context. But this new generation of writers, you should be investigating them with them, to your students. When I introduce that to some of you, which heritage that was unheard of. When I introduced Ben Aubrey, that was the same thing. When I introduced early game, to have your professor Umar to tell me, we were not the only one who changes his books every other year, because we were supposed to change our book every other year. But we need to bring in something new. That's very important. We can keep rehashing the same thing, but it becomes an old story, you know. So I would like to congratulate you for making the effort to track down new publication, new writers, so that your students be exposed to novelty, to novels, to plays, etc., that are novelty. The second thing, even if the students who are here are people who were already exposed to these books, that you come here and discuss them in a more intimate environment, it will help them better understand the book. So it is not a repeat of what you're doing in the classroom. The other thing I suggested to Badala is maybe concentrate the Palaver event, not exclusively, but primarily, to teaching in the Department of English. You all have your books. Maybe he can come to you and you determine which book you would like to present here to students who are your students, to students who are in the Department of English without to a larger audience. It will always be useful and helpful, and efforts be made so that whatever happens here, the majority of students in the Department of English are informed. Because you're not wasting your time coming here. Well, number one thing is you are after the English language, and whatever he said here will be in the English language. The more you hear, the more you listen, the better it is going to be for you. And the more you listen, the more you hear on a particular book which is on the schedule will be beneficial to you. So you're not losing or you're not wasting your time. Right? So, Abdullah, thank you again for leading in these efforts of the Association of people specializing in the studies of America. And this is not the first time. One of you was sitting somewhere the other day, working. I am sorry, I should have asked you if you had already taken your breath. Otherwise, I would have ordered people in the cafeteria to get you a very nice omelette. And so maybe, Teddy, next time you spot him in the area of the restaurant, don't even tell me. Go get him a very nice omelette, plain cafe timba or regular cafe, and be enjoyed it. Right. So again, to thank you all. I'm sorry I have to leave you because I have a Zoom with people who want to initiate something. They are from the University of Pittsburgh. The last thing I would like to discuss into so much to students, they are still very young. But for us specializing on the United States, we may be facing some challenges because of a decision by the American government. Look, I was on radio RFM the other day. What I said was very clear. Whatever decision has been made so far was not meant to target Senegal as a country. Whoever say that is lying. The countries are 36 and they could be more. And it was determined that you should slow it down in giving the visa to people coming from 36 countries, 36 countries. It so happened that Senegal wanted to send its feminine basketball squad at the same time. So this happened, and we've got to understand it like this. And also tell you, between the time it was determined and now, several faculty from US universities came in here, and they were not happy about what is being said or done by the US government in the relationship with Africa and the other parts of the country. They have been very happy all the time, always, with the Senegalese Teranga and their interaction with faculty and students here. So again, we may not be happy. Again, we may not be happy with present government in the United States, but let us be on this. We are not the ones who elected the current president. Our president in Senegal got a very nice name, Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye. We can criticize them in whichever way we want. We can do it instrumental, it is the elected. But none of us here elected because it was an American country. It's my second country by profession. It's very true. Again, well, I was born in Soho, you know, but Soho is like this. My ID says, Usman said, son of this, son of that, born in this particular year, in particular month, in Soho. No place in the United States is called Soho, even though the vast majority of them visiting here, they know Soho because Deliverance knows. Unfailingly, when they get here, I take them to Soho to enjoy a good whichever way, whichever home, but those big and nice west, you understand what I mean? And when they go there on a Thursday or Friday, unfailingly Saturday evening, wrestling match in the pure Serene tradition. Singing, dancing, drumming, and wrestling. Beautiful. And a contribution to the local economy. A bag of rice and maybe 50,000 to the champion. Another bag of rice and maybe 25,000 to the second champion. The drummers are paid, the organizers are paid, the women singing are paid, and even sometimes I ask them, Deliverance and I'll make sure that you have a prize for those young Syrians who learned so well. Well, let me tell you that book. So this is what we would like to value in our relationship with that country, which we still respect, and in our relationship with all countries. As I wrap up here, I've been particularly long by the way. Now, but since you insist on my being here, allow me to talk. When people tell you about your country, they say the country of Teranga, but we were the country of Teranga plus something else. When we were your age, or even younger, it was Senegal, the people yellow. No legal company. You may be gone, you may be fine, you may be greedy and never satisfied, but you will never fight with a cent. You agree? You may be called Jeremiah or Denny Friend or Lionel or whatever you want. You will never fight with an Ahmed or a Tumani or a Babaka because you have conflicting religion. Right or wrong? So let's keep that posture. And again, thank you again for coming. Thank you, Badara, for keeping it up. Young men and women, cultivate the habit of coming to work. This will never hurt you, it will promote you. And to your instructors, there is such a thing as a Fulbright program and many other scholarships for research in the United States. Even if there are a few problems right now with going on in the United States, be confident because those things are going sooner or later to be reinstated. So let's keep forging ahead. I agree with you and for the rest, thank you very much. Now, can I go to my group? And again, you know me, whatever you want to hold here, organize, let us know. Well, I have been blessed today. I'm by my chair. Thank you, Andy. Well, I mean, I need to stay. Bye. Another step. The colonization. Okay, guys, thank you very much. But develop the habit of coming here, like food and then fresh. Je crois que là, il y a de la climatisation dans la bibliothèque. Oui, et des ventilateurs. Ah oui, plus. Voilà, c'est vrai. Venez étudier. Merci tout le monde. Voilà. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Habib. Thank you, Dr. Jalal. Thank you, Dr. John. It's a great pleasure because it's not easy, right, to invite professors like you, and especially head of the department. It's not easy. But no matter how difficult it is, you may do it. And we're so happy. So thank you again. And we will not take the time to already know. Thank you. So we will let it go. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Special thanks to Alun Badara for your coordination because we know you making some great efforts to gather together people here at work. So thank you. So thank you, the audience, for being here. So today we have a particular guest, the head of the Department of Anglophone Studies, Professor Habib Sen. And I think that that's why many of our students are here today. So we need to say or to talk about the aim of this activity. It's called a Palaver. So we in Africa, we know what Palaver means. It's a place where we discuss ideas and we take decisions also. So all ideas are welcomed in under the Palaver tree. So it is a modern one. That's why. So for the introduction, I think that I'm gonna start with the head of the department. For the introduction, his name is not Habib but Abib. Yeah, Professor Abib Sen. He's the head of the department. So the particularity of Abib is the fact that he's not trained at Cheikh Anta Diop University. He's from UGB, what we call Gaston Berger University. So he specialized in African and post-colonial studies, especially the theme of semiotic. So that's why his topic is a semiotic interpretation of space and time in the Kaya Girl by Mamle Wolo. So Biran Sen is in American studies, but no frontier between American studies and African and post-colonial studies, because the books are not the same, but most of the time the themes have many things in common. So in terms of knowledge, there is no frontier. Biransen is going to talk about reshaping identity or identities in the plural and self-discovery in the Kaya girl. So we need to take the time because each of them is going to have 15 minutes to present your work. So we're going to start with Biran Sen. Biran, you're going to have the floor to present as your topic on reshaping identity and self-discovery in the Kaya Girl by Mamle Wolo. So, Dr. Sen, I think that I know I don't need to go into details in the presentations because many of you or many of the students, they know who you are. And if they want to have further information also, they're going to ask after. So, Dr. Sen, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Fai. So I would like first to thank the organizers of this Palaver session, which is really a very important event here at work. And I would like also to thank Adin Badra for coordinating this activity. Okay, to thank also Professor Sen for hosting us every time and then supporting, okay, all our activities here at work. Okay, so I would like also to thank the audience for being here. So it's a very specific event. Okay, so my topic, as Dr. Njom said, is reshaping identity or identities and self-discovery in the Kaya girl. So this is my topic. So if we go through the wording, we may have, okay, two concepts. The concept of identity, thank you. The concept of identity and the concept of self-discovery. So when we come to the concept of identity, so it is probably the most difficult concept, and maybe I would say the most dangerous concept when we talk about identity, because in the past days, we went through the confrontation between Iran and Israel. And this conflict is somehow related to identity, which means that identity is something which should be handled with care. And then if I come to the concept itself related to African studies, Dr. Fai knows exactly what I'm talking about. In the Sahel communities, for example, if you talk about identity, so there are two things. the way you perceive yourself and the way society or the others perceive you. The way you perceive yourself may be problematic if you are perceived in another way by society. And in the Sarah society, first, the example that I would give is that when you are given a name, because this is identification, naming is one part of identification. That if you are given a name, and if the name does not match with your personality, then the name is changed and you are given another name. Okay, this is for the sake of inner peace before confronting society, because you should have first inner peace before confronting society, meaning that the identity that society would give to you is also very important. And then you have to be identified by the society and then know first who you are, which means that it is something which is very complex. If I use the name Jigan to call Dr. Fai, you would imagine exactly what would happen, that I would simply not have an answer or he would not reply, which means that identity is something which is very, very important. And then when it comes now to self-discovery, I would simply say that all human beings, any human being, I would say, is at least gifted for something. The problem is that you may not know what you are gifted for. And then you may spend your whole life exactly trying to find exactly what is your gift. If you manage to find it and you work for it, then you would just certainly open the door of success. But this is exactly problematic too. So these are the two concepts I would like to develop, and then try to put it in relation with Mamle Wolo's novel, The Kaya Girl. So just to say that, defining the other is certainly one of the most challenging tasks a person can be confronted with. But when it comes to carry out that particular hard task, we usually have the feeling that there is nothing complicated in shaping someone else's identity, because we do not realize how negatively such an approach can possibly be felt. The person defining the other does not care about the implications of his false certainty on the individual he claims to know. Cliches are often surrounding the representations of otherness, which is the case in the Kaya Girl. Pfizer is nothing but a mere Kaya for the others, since her identity fits the activity she is performing in Makola markets. Depreciating stereotypes are commonly used in human interaction, with a feeling of inferiority or superiority generating misunderstanding and potential social conflict. The restrictive representation through ethnicity, language, gender, and culture, among other things, is a far-reaching symbol showing social differences in between communities or individuals. Mamle Wolo in The Kaya Girl highlights the dynamic of evolving nature of self and identity through the notions of being, becoming, and unbecoming. So being could refer to the present state of an identity, while becoming could represent the process of change and growth, often involving self-discovery and evolution. Unbecoming, on the other hand, could signify a period of questioning or disengagement from the previous held identity, often leading to new possibilities and transformation. The notion of identity self-discovery have been dealt with many scholars from different perspectives. Identity appears in Homi Bhabha's post-colonial theory otherness and refers to the way dominant groups construct and represent those they perceive as different. Often through stereotypes, they maintain to maintain power and control. Baba's concept of the third space, what he calls third space, highlights the interstitial zone where cultures meet, creating hybrid identities and challenging binary oppositions. Jane Eyre would explore the protagonist's journey of self-discovery and independence in their respective society. So I could, as an American, formulate the topic other way, saying a Morrisonian reading of The Kaya Girl. Toni Morrison in Beloved also examined the psychological impact of slavery on identity and the struggle of self-discovery to reconcile the past with the present. In the name of identity, violence, and the need to belong. So this is, Malouf's novel in French. This is Les Identités Meurtrières, would define identity as a sum of individual affiliations. These affiliations for him, whether social, cultural, familial, professional, or otherwise, contribute to the construction of identity. Identity is therefore not a monolithic entity, but rather a complex and evolving construct shaped by various ties of belonging. Identity is not compartmentalized, as he said. It is not divided into halves, thirds, or partitioned areas. We do not have multiple identities, but just one, which means that this is, as he said, the sum of affiliations that makes one identity. This study then seeks to examine identity and self-discovery as the transformation in the novel, which would lead to a new type of consciousness. How the status and mindset of characters like Faiza and Abena would contribute to the shaping and reshaping of their identity in relation to what they were designed to be. Most of the characters in the novel have been affected by their becoming and being closely associated with displacement and dislocation related to geographical, emotional, and cultural shifting. Identity for Wolo is then in a loop of constant change with the dimensions of space and time. So Dr. Sen is certainly going to deal with that after me, where places and people are tested upon these variables. Kaya's journey is about finding her place in a world shaped by tradition and modernity, with strong influences from her cultural heritage and family dynamics. Okay, so this presentation is divided into two parts. First is the barriers of success stories, what we call frozen identities, meaning fixed identities. Faiza and Abena struggle for identity, but what does it mean, identity? It is a sense of who we are, both as individuals and as members of various social groups. This is exactly what I said about identity. So you have your own definition of yourself, who you are, but society also has its definition of who you are. Then if the definition match, so much the better. But if the definition does not match, then problem will exactly arise from that definition, because the need for recognition is something which is present in all human beings. And as the example I have given is that nobody likes to be called by another name. This is also part of identity. Okay, and then Pfizer identity from being to becoming. Pfizer is a young Muslim migrant girl from northern Ghana who works as a Kaya girl. And then the definition that is given to Pfizer as a Kaya girl is a definition which does not fit for her. And then Aunt Lydia went up to saying that these Kayayo, he said, using a metaphor that the necks of those Kayayo are made of steel. Nobody's neck is made of steel, but he's just a human being. But Pfizer is going to experience, Pfizer or Abena is going to experience that assertion when she takes the ball and then puts it on her head. This is just to experiment exactly how it feels to be a Kayayo, how it feels to be a Kayayo. When you put it in your head, you know that this is exactly, I'm feeling the same thing, that it is very, very heavy. The same thing that Pfizer is feeling the same thing as Abena. And this is something which is very important. So I have 5 minutes left. I will just go to, okay, the conclusion. And then we have self-discovery and the subsequent process of breaking the glass ceiling. So the two parts is, one of them is about, okay, the frozen identities, meaning if you do not go beyond what societies, okay, scheduled you to be, then you will face problems because you would never be yourself. Then self-discovery. Now, if you come to transcend the barriers of that society, then you can exactly discover who you are, and then with that consciousness and awareness, you could exactly open the door of success. This is exactly self-discovery and the subsequent process of breaking the glass ceiling, meaning that you go beyond your limits. So I would just conclude, Dr. Fai. The theme of identity and self-discovery are central to many narratives, exploring the process of understanding oneself and one's place in the world. The journey often involves examining personal values, beliefs, and relationships, and can be influenced by cultural, social, and personal experiences. In the Kaya Girl, both Abena and Pfizer undergo significant self-discovery and reshaped their identities through their unlikely friendship. So the power also of friendship in self-discovery is something which is very important. Abena is from a privileged background. She learned about the different side of Ghanaian society through Pfizer, the Kayayo. Pfizer is, in turn, gain exposure to a word she would otherwise encounter, because without Pfizer, without Abena, Pfizer would not be in contact with reality, with studies, and then with the other word, as he said. Okay, their relationship challenges social norms and allows them to grow beyond their initial social circles. So they are not from the same social class. So Pfizer is, okay, is belong to the poor family, and then Abena is from a medical ascendant family, which means that there is a difference between the two. Okay, and in addition, they are not from the same area. And most of the time, if we are not from the same area, then we have many differences related to culture, differences related to language, which is also one item which can be developed also. Okay. And these are very important facts that we should take into account in the relationship. Symbols like the market and the interaction between different ethnic groups highlight these themes. Identity and self-discovery offer a powerful lens through which to explore the complexity of the human experience and the ongoing journey of becoming who we are. Okay, Dr. Fai, thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sen, for respecting the time allotted to you, because you even go beyond the 5 minutes left, but it's interesting. It's not a big deal. So we just move to the head of the department, Professor Abib Sen. So your topic is a semiotic interpretation of space and time in the Kaya Girl by Mamle Wolo. So you have 15 minutes to deal with your topic. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you can see. Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Giving me a call. I think that I'm just going to, let us say, be less particular than my friend, Iran. I will just get in let us say, a kind of a discussion as if it was two part of three, meaning to be less conventional with it. Yes, we can get the exchange much more fruitful. So I did not really prepare a paper about that. I want just to speak, to talk, and then we'll have questions so that we can interact in it. Definitely. So this is a novel. So what a novel is about? For those who do not really understand the importance of the literature, even in the last day, there is a kind of text which in a way or another criticize literature, the usefulness of literature, and let's say the personage of learning literature, something like that. I think that question. But anyway, this is a novel, and what a novel about? A novel is nothing but the fictionalizations of society. So what happens here is indeed what happens in them. So Mamle Wolo are the writer who cannot indeed go everywhere and tell people what happened in her country, right along the vehicle message. To say, read this and you will know what happened in my country. You will be informed in details. So I'm going to move reality from its true reality. So now it is up to you to read and to defictionalize so that you can get the true point. And it is what we're doing here now, to defictionalize the novel. And to defictionalize the novel means first to go and see what are the different parameters that determine what the novel is about. As I say, it's a message, but that message is wrapped in a kind of a setting. And the settings in a novel is about space, time, characters, and the discourse. These are the 3-4 elements that can compose a picture. And each of them plays a particular role, so that if they are merged, they can definitely mean the different message. So if we take what we call the settings, within the setting we have the plot. The plot is the story, which is narrated. And that story, we have two things. We have what is called the big story, or let us say the R narration. So the R narrations is the kind of the backbone of the story itself, the main story. But to the story are connected other small stories that are the sub-narrations. But that sub-narrations indeed, they take place. They take place in places. And each place determines the nature of the discourse that is articulated there.
So there is a connection between the message and the space. What we're doing here today, this space determines the nature of our messages. So our discourses are definitely connected to this space. If we move from here to go to Sandaga markets, the discourse will change because Sandaga is a different place. If we move to Sandaga to go to Hospital Dantet, the discourse change because now we are not any longer in a market, but in a hospital. So according to where we are and who we talk to, the discourse changes. And it varies now from one place to another. And that's why indeed, when it comes to talk about semiotics, it means to study science, the meaning of science. And the meaning of a science is or depends on the culture, the people, and indeed the periods. Because what this bottle will mean for me will be different if you take it to the United States in another place and ask what it's about. You may have two different definitions because you have moved from one community to another. So the meanings and the importance of science depends from one place to another. So when it comes to studying semiotics, we study what is behind what we can see. If we take mountains and you get a people coming to the foot of the mountain to say prayers, as it is illustrated, for example, in a Bread of Wheat by Mugiwat Pyong, you have the Mau freedom fighters, who whenever they have to attack the colonizers, they go first to pray on mountains. But is it really the mountains which is their targets? No. Behind the mountains, we have the spirits. And that spirit is concretized by the physical appearance of the mountain. So when, let us say, a freedom fighter say prayers at the foot of the mountains, he is not praying the mountain itself, but the spirit that incarnates the mountains. And from there, if you want to understand the role and the meaning of the mountains, you have to go beyond. And from there, you get indeed what we call the semiotic science. So if we transfer that to these novels, and that one indeed to study semiotics, I'm not going to elaborate on all spaces because we have a lot, but I will just select some of that, like the hospitals, like the schools, and the markets. We will discuss about others. And when it's about times, I just will focus on one single time, which is night times. And then maybe you'll have time to come to the other aspects. So indeed, if we take a place like the hospital, for those who have read a novel, look at the hospital. What kind of place it is? Is it a place of life and death? Everybody who goes to the hospitals, he or she goes there to be healed. If you're lucky enough, you can go back home. Your toilets. You may be unlucky. You may go back home, but in another home. There is. So, hospital, a place of hopes in despair, a place of healings, but a place of Christ. But look what it is, how it describes in the novels. In the novel, Mamle Wolo described the hospital they did, not as a place of death, but a place of resurrections. Resurrections of what? Resurrections of one thing, two things, or three things. The two friends Biram talks about, Abena and Faida. We know the life they led in Makola market, and we know how they parted in a very deceiving way, and Faida to move to Kumasi. And she definitely lost her friends, the one she used to call sister. But where did they meet again? They meet again in the hospital. And definitely they could not recognize each other. Because the one now is here in the hospital to give birth. And the other who is there, not other patients, but other doctor. So the Kaya girl who used to be in the markets, carrying load for rich people, being definitely the incarnation and the definition of poverty. The one who was an illiterate girl, the one who could not neither read nor speak English. That girl, some years after, meet against her friends who was from a rich family, who used to go to a very private schools, and who was educated. They met in a hospital, knowing of each other. And the one are the doctor, the others are the Wolo to do. So look what happens after the deliverance. So that deliverance had nothing to do with your deliverance. Okay, but anyway. So when they indeed identify one another, they go back to the past to resurrect their friendships. They go back to the past to give explanation to one another. And none of them wants to be victims. Or all of them want to be as guilty as the others. Because when Pfizer indeed wants to let us say, Abena, that indeed, what happened to me in Makola market was not your fault. Abena refuses, saying, look, I did not demand you enough. And if you were accused of robbery, it was because indeed, in one way or another, I betrayed, because I did not assume myself to tell the truth. And the other to say, no, you were very young at this period to face your unbelief. And that you could not, as a child, to take my defense and save me from what happened to me. But the Lord refused. Now, I'm as guilty Saul, because indeed I could do as well. So from there, what died a long time ago, friendships, is resurrected. And friendship becomes alive by the side of the baby herself, because the baby is born. And can you imagine the name of the baby? She is given the names of the friends. So baby is born, friendships, renaissance, and the Auntie Lydia herself comes back to her own mistake to recognize that she definitely was misled by, cheating. So definitely the hospital itself becomes a place of life and not a place of death. So death disappears to give place to life. Give place to life because they're a baby, but indeed the friendship that definitely disappears becomes, let us say, experience another starting points to become as transformed as it was before. So we can say that indeed, what we call in semiotics, let us say the modelizations of knowledge, the modelizations of truth, the modelizations of concrete facts is definitely highlighted here. So that the author Mamle Wolo give a specific meaning to the medical space to say, we're going now from this place to unveil what was hidden and to tell the truth, because it is in telling the truth that we can definitely reconcile the two girls who incarnate two different religions, two different ethnic groups, two different social status, who indeed nothing could definitely get close, but who through their, let us say, standpoints as girls who want to deconstruct the realities of their societies, they definitely, go beyond the social stratification to say we are different in all parameters, but there is one single point that is much more important. We are all human beings. And nobody understood or could understand that friendship between two persons who did not share much. So that's they deconstruct the friendship, but that friendship definitely came out in the hospital. So I moved to the school where I'm going to talk about what is called primacy, secondary, tertiary. When I say primacy in semiotics, I'm referring to the topic. Secondary, the reflections, and tertiary, we connect the two to have the third points. So if we connect the secondary and the tertiary, we have a third point which is called the secondary and the primacy, we have the third point which is tertiary. And if we take schools, we can say it is a private school or literal ones where you have rich, where you have girls, and where you have the school itself. So rich people in Ghana, they have a particular treatment and they do not go in the same schools. This school are different from that of the poor. And the way they conceive the rest of the peoples, it's a little bit different. I will point that in this. If you belong to that group, from up you look down, yes. And you believe to be better. So you claim, you adopt yourself as a primary level. And the girls who are in the school, because it's the girls of school somehow, the school girls. So girls who are in the schools, they are the secondary expressions of the complex of superiority. We are girls coming from a specific social status, so we are better than the higher. And now if you take girls and rich peoples, you put them on the same place, the place becomes schools and it becomes the tertiary, those social laws that define who is who and who has to go where. If you take these three points, you will realize that indeed, at a given point of the life of that students in the schools, there is what we call in semiotic the representative. Who is that representative? She is rich. She comes from a rich family, but she does not want to be treated as such. And she wants to let the other girls know that they are just Ghanaians, they are just human beings, and they could not believe themselves to be far different from the others. And when they were supposed to tell how they spend their holidays, many of them were talking about the United States, where they spend holidays, Dubai, etc. But Abena Articles talks about the Kayago, her experience in the Makola markets. And she was definitely giggled by all other students, saying, oh, what are you talking about? Did you spend your holidays here in that place, not only in Ghana, but you spend it at the Makola markets? Where we have all scraps, etc. So how come? But indeed, she succeeds in convincing the others to understand that definitely the kayak girls that are outside are as important as any of them and is to be considered as Ghanaians and other human beings. And her story, she told other students, is not. It is. But that story becomes the novel she will publish later. So the representatives, the victory of the representatives upon the primarity, upon the social stratifications, which indeed could not. Yes, I won't be able to talk. I would like to talk about the organization of the markets. But if I told you that the Makola market is a kind of a smooth apartheid social systems, some of you may say, look, what is saying apartheid in Ghana? Yes, in all our society, we have what I call definitely places where we have social apartheid practices. Any of us, if we choose to go to Canada, according to who we are, we know where we have to go. Whether we go to the forest child to eat, because we know ourselves. Whether we go to the Fogajari or go to a resort source. But I cannot be absent, having maybe 2,000 in my pockets and want to go to, I don't know, Sea Plaza to buy. And for a small story, I committed the mistakes one day to go to Sea Plaza and to ask for, some clothes for my boy. And I, I believe to be enough equipped financially too. And I asked the lady, give me this and that. She was a little bit amazed, but I could not understand. And she said, look, is it his birthday? And no, it's not his birthday. It's not that for, ordinary clothes. So they said, oh, you're a good father, So she collects a lot of clothes. And I said, give me the bill, please. But when she told me the amount, yes, I stepped back and I told her, look, I don't have cash with me, so I'm going to use my bank cards. She said, no, you can pay with your bank card here. Give me just 1 second, I'm coming back. When I left, I never go back. Because I did not know that place was that people like me should not set foot there. That's what a market is. A market tells you who you are and where you have to stop. The market made a differentiations of categories, social categories. The rich are there, the poor are there, the less poor are here. So it is a social systems that tell people who they are. So what I call the iconizations of society or markets. So to put let us say to wrap up, times, if we take night times in other words, it is associated with early marriage. And when it's early marriage in English, I mean post-marriage. So look at when Abena was on the point to leave. Before even Abena and cousins. Everything happens at once. Already probably was here to take over. And they organize themselves so as to sneak out of the village at night. So the life of girls in that society is a life of people that were prostitutes, who do not have any right to get a line on the chapter. They cannot really be on the same page with their parents because they are the older generation, or let us say the younger generation, and parents are the older generation. So between the clash between the two generations, there is a kind of a specific month, which is the COVID early marriage. And that early marriage, the resistance is organized at nights. So nights are the night of girls who want to resist, who want to fight against some traditional practices that cannot any longer be accepted in Ghana and the modern society. So to understand that struggles mean to dedicate or let's say to connect time with the old system, which is all enough dialogue. So I would like to go further, but Mr. John 5 is giving no sign, but not a symbolic sign on time to tell me that time is up. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Sen. So, as the head, you have you had 5 minutes left, but you had more 5 minutes. And this shows that the topic is very interesting, and you see, that's the reason why we have many of our students here. So I want make a presentation just try to some
the ideas, raised all the issues raised by the children, especially the question of identity, if there are 10 and self-discovery. So identity, how complex it is, and it is sort of many tension involved. And he gave an example in Israel and Iran, you see. But the psychological impact of identity and naming the person, one identity. So the kaya law, so I know what you mean because 2 years ago we were there in Ghana with the head and Musafa, and we went to Makola market, and if you see the kaya law with the big bubbles on the head, you imagine what people live in our local markets, the buying, your mind go to what people in our local markets live only trying to earn their life for these kind of activities. So with the presentation of Professor Sen, each novel gives a message, everybody. So the message of Mamle Wolo is that we all human beings and in society, everyone is important. Being rich, being work, being black, being born in Ghana, being born in the vicinities of Ghana, we all Ghanaians, we all human beings, and we serve in society, in every aspect of society. So the fact of being, becoming, and unbecoming, all these factors should be taken into account in our life. So I've said a while ago, the market tells who you are, and I love it because we in our cultures are deconstructing so many realities. You can have one further telling or meaning connect in available machine. So meaning you need to really own your what you have. Don't look at what they have in their pockets. Go to the market, especially there are some market reserves to some privilege in our societies. So and you don't only one big market. There is one big authority in this country, because here in politics. When we were students, at the end of the year, the combination of the 3 months of our scholarship, we had it, and we went somewhere, and we ordered. And after the ordering, they tell us how much to pay. And our scholarship for and we probably bought it. Would like to enjoy ourselves before going back our villages for the rainy season. You see, we like to enjoy ourselves before going back for the rainy season. And we want to a place that will help. So thank you very much. So you have the floor for contributions and questions. And this is what we call a Palaver. Thanks so much. Now we open. Those want to do Casal Conquista. Dr. Casal. Yes, okay, I think that. You can have 5. See now, there's now Umar. Umar, look. Umar, look, yes, is Ahmad Lucis Kadija Silanda. Yeah, Hassan is going to Kadija Silanda.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for this clear presentation. Wow, I was really inspired just listening to you all. So I'm Dr. Kolkasal. I work with the University of Minnesota in Hawaii. So as I was listening, I was really thinking about, I think the theme of identity and self-discovery, as Dr. said, was really so well detailed in terms of like, putting it in our local lives and experiences, like giving example of the experience was really, really well. And again, adding to that, of the locally that Dr. Stan, today we have all these areas. I'm gonna make fun of you all. So, and the way you put like what the role of the novel is, like it's a window to the society. It highlights, the way of life. It shows us, like it really even bring up topics that can be sensitive or taboo or what I mean. So the novel is really a good medium to this type of society and position the characters. But as I was listening to you all, I was also thinking about, especially in terms of identity, that we need to give voices, term double consciousness, like the way that you see yourself, and the way that others see you, and the way that others force you to see yourself. I feel like there are like 3 different layers that really needs to, come out in terms of identity formation, like how do you see yourself, how others see you, how the society wants you to see yourself. And it's something very, very interesting. It was specifically for African American community, but we can definitely apply it here because we all have different identities, but we have one identity. We have multiple identities. That's where, the term intersectionality comes into play. So you're thinking about yourself, you are a woman, as a mom, as a wife, as a sister, as a professor, as, a friend, right? You have different roles. How do you, combine all those roles and define yourself? So it's an exercise that's not easy to do, and I think it's a journey. So basically, the person has a different definition of themselves, where they are, the moment they find themselves, and even the emotions, and all of it plays into how we see ourselves. So those intersectional identity is really, really interesting, especially in the book. The other dimension that I was also thinking about is what creates the click of like the shift. So you said that you start understanding who you are in a different setting. What creates the shift? Is it a question that you are, or a name that you are being called, like when Sissy was called a black girl, like you feel like I was black. Then I was when she was in London, right? But when she was in Ghana, she never questioned herself as being a black girl. But she was called that way in a different setting. That was a thing like that. So my question to both of you is what makes the shift? It could be even like what can bring a shift on the way that a person sees themselves, either home, either question. Specifically in this book, since it's the book that we're focusing on today. And one last comment for the students. I am like you bringing me back to the years when we used to come to work, and I want to emphasize what Professor Sen said. Please come to work, come to the event, connect with other classmates. Ask even if it's that one question, please take these moments as a way to train yourself, okay? To be more self-confident, to ask all the questions you have, because these are spaces that you do not have necessarily at the university. So please keep coming, please keep, discovering what interests you the most. Try to do the readings, and not just rely on ChatGPT, please. So try to read, make your own understanding, use your own words. That's what I tell myself. Like, use your own words. Tell it to me in your own words. It's a good exercise. It's not easy, but you do that, and then you will get better and better every time. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for the organizer, and then for the one library for providing this platform, which is very important for us, for the important exchanging or in the competition, right? Okay, this is number four of the Palaver trade, and it's a great setting a platform for them. Thank you very much. I would like also to congratulate, first I'm going to introduce myself, Dr. Abdullah, Assistant Professor of American Studies, Charlie University, also the chair of the Senegal American Studies Foundation. And I would like also to congratulate the presenters for their brilliant presentation. And thanks for reminding us of the importance of once again. For me now, as product on society are directly important for peace. The central to our important dialogue and how our nation was before. And also, thanks for also remind us the importance of fuel and motion. I especially appreciate the way you were able to use as a foundation those theory so as to comment into the number. Talking about the music, talking about time and space, like purpose, adapting, etc. And identity in Baba, etc. Very important. And absolutely have to be aware of it, as what I have just said. And I'd like to start with the presentation of Dr. Biran. I was mostly fascinated with the concept of identity and the notion of being, becoming, and unbecoming. There's just a lot of unbecoming. And here I find let's say a common trait to the presentation. So don't you think that the notion of unbecoming is related to the difficulty to reconcile the way you are perceived and the way you perceive yourself? Unbecoming. Because with the type of Abena, for example, at some point, I think she arrived to that stage, being able to deconstruct the way that society was trying to depict her. Because when you deconstruct, like John Dillon used to say, it's not about destroying, it's about studying the fragment element, but you also have to construct the view, right? Basic, very important. So, not to think is really that people talk about identity, talk about Toni Morrison. Most I remember Toni Morrison, stands of beauty in American society and how it can be struck for African American. They call that being black and being taught that to be beautiful, you have to be white with blonde hair, blue eyes. As a young girl, it was very destructive for her identity construction. See? So, unbecoming. Something is very important. So I'd like to give us, please, explanations about that notion. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, dear professors, and good afternoon, dear students and classmates. And a special thank you to Mr. Abibsen. Even if you don't read the novel, you make us to understand really what does it mean the novel. It is a very important novel, and I really appreciate that. My question is about the identity. I heard Mr. Biran said that we must have one identity. The way you perceive yourself and the way the society perceives you is different. My question is beyond that. In your own society, the way the president perceive you is the same way that a French society or American society perceive you. This is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. First of all, I would like to congratulate three professors for their presentation. That was really outstanding and brilliant. And it allowed me to have a broad understanding about different themes that the author highlighted in the novel, and also understanding what is going on in Ghana, even though I've never traveled there, but I have insights about it. So my question is, why did the author prefer both characters having the same age, and the first one from a rich family and the other from a poor family? So what does he wanna show us also case to that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This.
My question, what is it that you also want to be? How does Aaron impact in the growth of the community?
Well, the first question is so, we give the floor to Dr. Sally, and Ali, after we open the list. So, Dr. Sally, you have the
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Pai. Okay, thank you very much also for your question. I would start with Dr. Bokka's question, but I think that it seems like it's a competition than a question. Okay, so what is the figure of self-discovery? Is your question? Okay.
Like what we
Okay.
for the character, satisfying themselves, like what are the things, but something that opportunity.
Okay, so yes, thank you so much. So for me, the figure of this awareness for me is final and abandoned friendship. So the power of friendship is something which is very important. Because friendship allows abandoned discover something and get out of the comfort zone, and then get something new from society, something that she did not know before. And then this friendship also will allow the other fighter to know many things about society that he ignored before, which means that this friendship between the two is for me the figure of exactly self-discovery. So this is for me something which is really important to develop. Okay, so the other question is Abulai is becoming. Okay, the concept of becoming and the difficulty. Okay, the way you see yourself and the way society see you. So this is your question. Okay. So the previous self identity is what I call becoming. So if you start questioning the previously held identity, you get into the concept of becoming. What society design or not if you start questioning that and get into the concept of becoming. And this is also related to self discovery, because you know who you are and then want to challenge the image that society has already given you before. And this is the starting point of self discovery. Okay, there is another question by Amadou, I think. Amadou. What does the bubble want to show to? Okay, these two protagonists. Okay, Abena being okay, rich, and then Faida being poor. I think that this is also, as I said, related to the notion of identity. So you cannot appreciate exactly what you have and who you are if you are not confronted with other people. But if ever you have relationship or you develop relationship with the other, then you may know exactly your value and the value of the other. So this is exactly to show, as I said earlier, when Abena took the board and put on the air, this is a very important sign for her. How it feels to be this is something which is very important because she never experienced that. Okay, a girl from a very rich family would never something like that, but know exactly how the others are feeling. And this is an experience, okay, from Abena. This is something that she learned from Faida, and Faida also needs to learn something from Abena because they are different social classes. And this is this difference that makes life actually possible. Because differences are something which is exactly in the society. We learn from the other. But when you look at yourself and there is no difference, then you tend to belittle the other. But you know that you are not exactly the one who is living in the world, and then you need the experience of the other, who they are, and then don't okay, focus on yourself, but you should also know about the other. Value exactly what you have, and value exactly what the other have.
Yes, something just to add, we were, let's say, the shift, the right point when we start, that way, operating as well as all different business. And in the novels, that maybe not too much it has been said. I think, finding the shifts when the very first time she is acting so wrong. Because indeed, as the kayak goes, see innocent you, believe was known to be part of all branches of society. Currently, must start with those who understand the same social status. Working with other people, other kayak said, but the very first times she stepped forward the red lines in the shop of Antilinja, she was accused of robbery. And she discovered automatically that she did come from the others. And then in this, she has some rights and she has some stops. And she decided to leave her friends and to leave Aqua. And it is from where she joined the village to start learning before having a scholarship for, and becoming for the West and become a doctor. So the shift, if she was not victim of, let us say, that accusation of robbery, she would never change. So imagine you are kayak goals, very honest. You accuse of some things you have not done. Okay, that can bring you to another status. So I think in addition to what Iran has said, that shift can be definitely very substantial. Unbecoming is a gap. I think indeed, if we take unbecoming in its let us say traditional meaning, the objective of the author is to move from unbecoming to being. The unbecoming it is women's. In the traditional society are victims of patriarchy. They have no voice, they are voiceless. They have no right to access to structural decisions. And you also to say, it is high time we start in questions that, invisibilities of women. We have to move out of the unbecoming status in which we are definitely in prisons to define the kind of a being to definitely, hope for become. And this is the trajectory of Pfizer. From a silent girl, Kayayo girl, to, let us say, for students and to a doctor. And there, she changes her name. Not any longer Pfizer, but Dr. Muhammad. She is a she doctor, if you allow me to. She has a male name, but, she is a female. So definitely from unbecoming, missingness to, empowerment, women empowerment. So definitely, I think the message of the author is, let us move out of unbecoming. Let us voice ourselves. The way you perceive yourself, the way the society perceives you, I think it is from Job. The way you perceive yourself is the one you want to be. The way people perceive you is the one you are. Now, if you force to perceive yourself not the way you want, but the way people want you to be, we are in segregations. We are in racial society, or we are in, let us say, a place or a community where people are according to, their ethnic groups, their family origins, or their racial origins. So 2 steps, 3 steps. The way you perceive yourself is the one you want to be. But the way people look at you is the one you are. But the way people want you to be, that's another question. Okay? So I think it gonna hold. As I said, Abena and Faida, they are girls. And this is a continuation of the following. Silas, question, Amadou, Sis, I think Khadija too. Yes, Silas, questions. I mean, the one who talks about the 2 characters, the 2 girls, Amadou, Sis. Yes, the 2 girls. Different in terms of languages, in terms of ethnic groups, in terms of space, because the one comes from the north and the other from the south. And we know that the north of Ghana is like the north of Senegal. If you do not have Angola here, well, anyway, so so it is a very hostile place, very tough. Poor people, but here you don't also Senegal, no poor people. So you from the north, it means that you poor. You from the south, it means that you are the man of civilization, modernity, and maybe less poor than those who are from elsewhere. So in terms of spaces, they are different. In terms of ethnic group, they are different. And in terms of social status, they are different. And the message is, Ghana should not be a matter of northern parts. Ghana should be a common place. People should not define according to their origins, not according to the social status. So the barriers that define girls who are from the north as Kayayo or Kayayi, the plural is Kayayi. So you from the north, you cannot but be Kayayi. We from the south, we go to school and we become decision makers. That differentiation is to be broken down. We have to, conjugate ourselves as one single people. So we should move from a state to a nation. The state is that geographical area where we have north, south, east, and west. But a nation is that common will to live together. without defining ourselves as Sarah, North, South, etc. And that's the message. Okay, all of us are Ghanaian people in Ghana, by Ghana, for them, for Ghanaian people. Yes, and that's the author of the message to come to the very last question. It's the still last questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So we continue with yes. Abdullah Ndong. Abdullah Ndong. Fatuma Bintu. John. Parker. Abdullah Ndong. Fatu Bintu. John. Lineman. Paris. Yeah, no, I did. Hassan, yeah, Hassan, I'm sorry, Hassan. Hassan, yeah, little girl. Who's up? We're coming to you, little girl. You? Janet Cole. Well, Janet Cole. Janet Cole and Musa Jawara, yeah, Musa Jawara. Okay. Abdullah, now you have the floor. Musa Jawara. You can start from there. It's not a big deal. Musa Jawara, you have the floor. And the mic is with you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm bringing the home. My name is Musa Jawara. I'm a PhD student. So I read the novel last year. And through your explanation, or I can say presentation, I've learned a lot of things. So once again, thank you so much for that. So down school, Professor Williams and the public staff, like, let's first talk about it. So we see that when they were asked, talk about like their profession, we see that the other students, they talk about like what that they expect there in Dubai and others, like the restaurant there. And for Arena, who was explaining about the market, how things work. And what we noticed that the other students, they were giggle, but maybe laugh at her. So what it wasn't that you can learn from or the music that we could learn from.
Yes. I can hear it.
We'll talk about factor two. Being 17 that you have infrastructure is a degree Avena and Pesa. When Avena, when Pesa, there's a story of Asana will be around it. And then Avena asked what was the reaction of his mother. Pesa said, and our village, women have not tried how open the woman how about to tell man what to do. What was the message to them? I told another part also. Three positive advisors, three positive, almost them are female. And at the end, this all are succeeded like answer. And also, I would like to know what was the aim of the use of the US. Now, the last one is the use of the local language. We notice we have people, period. That's why something like that. What was, let us say, what was the aim of the language? Thank you.
Yeah, the next is Abdullah Ndong, and we move to
So
Janet.
Okay, so greetings to everybody. I appreciate very much the now celebration here. Thank you for the Abib. Thank you for providing and I'm very happy to be here. Let me say that it was time because I even was asking for direction when I was studying. It means it is a good time. Okay. So, Dr. Pai, let me tell you that my name is Abdullah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Start now saying this through the mails I sent. I see something like Abdullah, no, my name is Abdullah once again.
Okay.
Right? So, as it is a Palaver tree, and a Palaver tree is nothing but anything said. I do not know how you will going to use it from party, but where we refer to it as L. And L is a place where the people can share ideas, that people can ask questions too. So I think I'll be asking then a question to Professor Sen or Dr. Sen about related to identity. He has mentioned something very important. Read. And I mean, the way society perceives you is something I would like to focus on and ask what. I think that I did not read this book, first of all, let me present that. I did not read it from I didn't even have a copy of this book. But from what it said, the presenters, I think something came in my mind and really want it to be very clear. Coming now to, characters, Faida and Abena, I think the one who is the character, very poor. Okay, so she then tried very hard to really change that social state is very important. So when Dr. said talked about the way society looks at women, I really not to focus on that. So society then perceives her as someone poor to the extent that she is accused of robbery, even though she is not really guilty of that. You get it? So then she studied, she really furthered her study to become a doctor. And I think society started shifting the way it looks at her. The question then is, what is the social status? I mean, to do with your identity. Thank you very much.
Okay. Janet go. And after part of being done. So apply in a question of identity. Apply and up to that.
Thank you so much. I greet everyone, special greetings to Dr. Sen, Dr. Pai. Thank you for the presentation and explanation. This is not a question, it's a contribution. Just to say that in Ghana, people are very sensitive to success, to class. And I would say it's a kind of informal tribalism between the Ashanti, the migrant tribe, living in state in Kumasi. And because people from Kumasi think they are superior to the rest of the country. But people in the country, the other villages, including Kumasi, think they are all superior to the people in the north. But it is so intense that even if a northern person is rich, he doesn't count. You are from the north.
So that is what I just wanted to highlight. And the other is here drawing attention to challenge. No matter who you are, no matter how people want to see you, no matter how people want you to be or want to see you, the challenge here is what do you want for yourself? How do you want to shift that to remove that issue of class and challenge everyone that we can affirm yourself and be successful because we are all one people. This is also part of one. This is the problem. Thank you so much. And so much. But everyone. First of all, thank you to the faculties. Focus and with the whatever he says. Thank you for the wonderful motivation. Thank you for the generator, Dr. John White. Thank you so much. So going to Dr. asked a question about the shift, and she talked about throwing about character where it's not about the bubble, but character goes up. She is she's black. She was that she wasn't aware of the blackness. That's it. All right. So I think here I was mindful of the issue of human show. So whether we have people identity can be language, social background, identity can be name, somebody talking about here, identity can be everything. So all those things they intersect. So we should be giving the intersection of those identities. Though I did not read the book, I've read it, but I did not read it. But I think all those intersecting points, all those intersecting labels that a character might experience is maybe the shift from being aware of what you are. For example, if you go to she became aware of her blackness when she shed would be the paragraph. When she was, all of us are aware of blackness. It was all black. All right? So, but once we are approached, we became we become aware of our blackness or something like that. So there are intersecting of gender, the sex and race, intersecting of language, everything. I think that's the shift that people think aware of who they are. Thank you so much. That was the basic question.
Okay, I will have two rounds, first round, second round, and time is up. Yeah, I think that we need to start just yeah, to find the rules. Yeah, it is very interesting. I know that students are here to listen to their head. Okay. Yeah. I don't continue to say, this is why I go in London, but absolutely I don't. Yeah, in your accent, which is nobody to know where you from. Yeah. When you speak, it's actually very, I don't know the difference between apply and apply.
he talks about social status and identity. I can remember one day I had a discussion with two old persons, and the one was explaining and saying, look, in villages, pay attention to those who are enrolled at least of witchcraft. They are always poor. Always poor. You will never find in the village somebody whose social status is definitely high and being abused of witchcraft. Even if they suspect him of being a guilty person, they will, put the blame on a very poor neighbor somewhere. Because the social status of poverty goes hand in glove with everything that is evil. If there is a phenomenon of robbery, go to see among the poor. If witchcraft is being highlighted, go and see among the poor. Yes, go and see among the poor. So that's, social status. It gives us rights, but less right than the others. It defines, the degree of relationship we have with the others. And we have some red lines that we are not supposed really to cross. Here is your place. So you stay there, because that's your social status. This is identity and social status. And unfortunately, we all have that kind of behavior in our traditional societies. And that's part of the message. Somebody asked why what is the Oslo method? So the Oslo method is let us deconstruct that, that's parameters. Okay. We are the one we are, not because we are poor, but because we are just human beings. And the social ladder is, a matter of it is dynamic. You can't be born poor, but for the sake of, working hard, you can succeed in adopting yourself. So success does not have a name. It does not have an identity. It does not have a race. So it is a common point, a common value, and everybody can, it can move from rags, as we said you American people into brackets, from rags to rich. Okay, and the road is free. Everybody can change his or her identity according to her will to fight off the first social status. We are all from villages, I can say we all from, Professor Stan talks about, so close. I'm from Sengon. Many of you do not know where Sengon is. It is a lost village, in yes, in down sea indeed. Okay, and I was discussing with John, and I said, we had electricity. Some don't know 5 years ago. Okay, so you can imagine, that village how it is. But I'm here today. He is very next to me. We are neighbors. He's from Jare. Yes, so Viran is from Budai, it is my roots. Budai Nyawu. Okay. So if you go to the Department of English, many of us in this are like Pfizer. We are all Pfizer in the English department. So that's the movement, the dynamism in social status. Okay, and it goes and it will be somehow. So I think that Professor said it's here.
Okay, thank you very much, Badu. So, but we need to introduce Professor San to some of the students from the English department, because you may not know him, because we are the products of Professor San
He taught us those in African literature and we in American literature. So he's a former head of the English department. He led the English department for more than 10 years. Yeah, you see? So, and he's endowed with very interesting pedagogical skills. When you had a book with Professor Sen, 2 hours, 4 hours, even though you haven't read the novel, you understand the plot and you know the social setting of the book. These are the pedagogical skills of Professor Sen. So he's deeply rooted in trying to push young Senegalese learners to believe in themselves from the concept of self-reliance. And we need to introduce him because some of you, this is their first time they have set foot here at work. Some of you also, in the first time, they have seen Professor Sen, but the ignorance, Babacar and Abdullah Biran, and all of us, we know who is Professor Sen. And Professor Sen, we could not end the session without introducing you to the students. And thanks again for all the good job that you've done for all the generations with other professors like Professor Umar Dogo, with our master, supervise me, Babakar, Abdullah, and others. So thank you, everybody. You can have the floor. Give the mic to Professor Sen for the last remarks.
Thank you for your nice words. I hope they are deserved. But talking about believing here. Oh, yeah, okay. Because all the time it was to have your guests from any university and they are sitting there up there. But and talking about 3 17 or after the most embarrassment and I would reaction. If you go to the United States, they are going to serve you, not for children, they are going to serve you for food they are proud of, and that's their food. So if they get here, why wouldn't you serve them your food? And don't have to prepare that under very healthy conditions. It's about having respect for yourself. As the director of West African Center here, I hosted all the directors of centers all over the world, and there are 25 centers. And they came in here with a delegation also of decision makers on our board coming from Washington. I determined that by taking them to that neighborhood, we went there, and I brought in with a great brother named Babu, and we were great, singer Paul Meyer and them. They all passed away. After we finished, we went to Bakuda. You know that's Bakuda? It's less than 45 kilometers from the Gambian border. After you branch of the party and you see Nelson Mandela Bridge, you have party, you have the best of cities, so good, and then you have Tubakuda. And Tubakuda, on the Saturday evening, I made sure that we would go to the smallest villages and we would have the rest of the station. Again, with no road, but the purely digital thing. You know what happened? The big director, whose name is wonderful, right there, Itibari, showed our big director, our boss and our mother, and she asked the question. He said, who is next to receive us in 2 years? And the people from Mongolia said, that's our turn. And Mother told them, guys, if ever I come to Ulaanbaatar, but that is Mongolia, and you don't show us the person who created Mongolia in his clan, on his horse, and riding in the steppe, and drinking blood, you don't show me that. My 17th son has defeated all of it, because I have never seen, and I will never see in my life anything like the 17th wrestling match. They came back a year and a half ago. And Mary Ellen Lane replacement asked the same question. Directors, they declined to organize because all of that, Marianne is here, all this stuff, all of that here, and they can tell you not to tell you. None of them wanted to organize after Senegal because they said, I am not going to play after Senegal because I will lose. I don't know how I can match what the Senegalese people did. And I did look at the lady from Mexico, and the lady from Mexico said, I am not in the mood to organize after Senegal, but if you ask me, I will not do it. What did we show them who we are? Show them what we are, and show them what we have. So, yeah, right. How many of you better than that? Right. If everybody says, everybody is saying, the president of our national them. That is not for government. Here, you are the living. They also think they know. And in our elder, and and the soil was not there, extremely hot in May and June. Clearly, the bad we used to be in those days, they didn't want to do that. No. So it may be said, in bed of his trouble, cloudy and shadow, and he is the poverty will serve. Poverty. And you don't need teeth to avoid it. Number one, trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you got from your mom and dad. Don't know my mom. So please listen and you'll never forget. You know, they actually, there was only one registration, and at first, there would be no news program in water. And it's practically, we must talk about around for the carrying load. And that's so big. It's not the people that stop, but they don't have unemployment yet. Learning the country play outside. Maybe sometimes you play with the house or furniture. And maybe if when you're going, I have already told you that I'm going to prepare something you don't like. I know you don't like Supugani. I like it. And she told me, if ever you playing soccer and the flavor and the state of changes, that, you know, playing with your dog, if you stay on, because you are tempted by the children, you will be able to shape the system for all that. Because you will be commenting the recipe for a dish your daddy did not cook for, and your mother did not cook. So it is illegitimate for you to wait and eat it. Have any sense of pride, a little bit. Go back to your father's house, sit there under the mango tree and eat what your mother said. That's why. And this is why it is better to have because I happen to be there and they have nice food. It's very difficult. But you know, and we have that between for you to be common may be occurred in better countries. Don't try to overcome poverty by that's yourself. Believe in yourself and say yourself forever and a day. If they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, you can do it.